So parent tip.
Let's hear it.
I got inspired because somebody came up to me recently and said, oh my gosh, you work at the Children's Museum. You just make children happy all the time. And it made me start to think about happiness and kids. And it kind of occurred to me that it's probably time to talk here about what we see in so many parents trying everything they can to make their children happy now. And there might be a downside to that.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Social scientists are pointing to a lack of emotional resilience as a cause for increase in childhood, teen, and young adult anxiety. So what does that mean, right? So one of the things parents can do to avoid that future, even though we so want to protect our children from anything negative, is instead of redirecting children from tough situations, like when they don't get invited to a party or they don't win the spelling bee, something like that, experts say we should see these as great opportunities to help them build resilience. So when we respond with, well, I'm sure Madison likes you a lot, she probably just didn't have room in her birthday party to include you, what the child hears is, I shouldn't feel upset, I should get myself to a place of emotional comfort. The problem is, she still feels those feelings, right? Do you remember that, any situations like that?
Yes.
Right. But then she feels like she shouldn't feel those feelings because mom or dad's trying to redirect.
True.
And that makes it worse. So instead of protecting our children from tough feelings, we should try to prepare them for them, because that's what life is going to bring them.
My parents do a good job of that. Still to this day, they always say, expect nothing, whatever you get as a reward.
That's a great philosophy.
Yeah.
That's a great philosophy. It's, really what you want to be when your child has a misfortune or sad in some way is to be with them with honesty and loving presence. So if you can remember those two things, we want to protect them. I mean, we can't help it. And I'll give you an example from my life. We lost the family dog when our son was 6 years old.
It's the worst.
It is
the worst pain.
It is the worst. And when I was thinking about how I was going to explain this to my son, and before I got home, my husband beat me and told him that she'd gone off to a farm to live in somewhere else. And I pulled him aside and I said, I don't think we should do that. I think we got to hit this head on.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. And so together we sat him back down and said, you know what? Daddy didn't want you to feel bad, but the truth is that Shelby passed away. She died, and we feel so sad, and we know you feel sad, but we want to be able to feel sad with you and talk about it. But Shelby, everything dies, and new things are born. So we were able to kind of move into that conversation with him that was real, authentic, but we stayed in that loving presence with him so that if he started to feel sad later or he saw another dog that looked like her, we could have those conversations. And that helps signal to him that, hey, stuff like this is going to happen. I have to learn to deal with it rather than a redirect. Because like we said, they still probably have the feeling anyway, but you don't want to give the message, feel better right this minute. And I know as a parent, we want to do that because the last thing we ever want is to see our child sad. But if you can change your frame on it and say, this is an opportunity to actually enhance his or her resilience, and they'll be happier later on for it.
Yeah, can you talk about how, stopping this or improving this earlier in life helps later on?
Yeah, it really does, because what adult could ever say, oh, my parents protected me from everything and I've had nothing but a wonderful life, okay? So no, it doesn't work that way. What we need to do is equip our kids with the skills to be able to deal with whatever life is going to throw at them, because it's going to. Now, and like I said at the beginning, what we're seeing is for parents who didn't do that, their children are really struggling. That's what social scientists think is causing the big upticks in anxiety that we're seeing in teens and young adults, because they don't have these coping skills or having to develop them later. We want the kids to develop them early and have them throughout their life.
So parents can help with that.
Parents absolutely can. And it's hard because we want to protect them. So if you can reframe and say, this is an opportunity to build his or her resilience, and I'm going to work on it right now. Be honest and be a loving presence.
I love that tip.